Have you ever dreamt of mastering a new skill? Maybe you want to play the guitar, speak a new language, or code like a pro. What if I told you that you could achieve mastery in just 18 minutes a day? It sounds too good to be true, but it's not. The key is consistency and focused practice. Imagine dedicating just 18 minutes each day to your chosen skill. That's less time than it takes to watch your favorite TV show. You might think that such a small amount of time wouldn't make a difference, but you'd be surprised. Small, consistent actions, when repeated over time, lead to remarkable results. It's like building a house brick by brick. Each brick might seem insignificant on its own, but together they create something substantial. This principle applies to learning any skill. Whether you're learning to play a musical instrument, speak a new language, or master a new sport, the key is to show up every day and put in the work, even if it's just for 18 minutes. Now, you might be wondering how 18 minutes a day can transform you from a complete beginner to an expert. Let's break it down. In 3 months, practicing 18 minutes a day equates to roughly 27 hours of dedicated practice. That's enough time to develop a solid foundation in almost any skill. Think about it. If you were to spend 27 hours learning a new language, you'd be surprised at how much you could accomplish. You could learn basic grammar, build a vocabulary of common words, and even hold simple conversations. The same principle applies to any other skill. As you continue practicing beyond the 3-month mark, you'll transition from being an expert to a true master. With a year of 18-minute daily practice sessions under your belt, you'll have dedicated over 100 hours to honing your craft. That's when the real magic happens. You'll start to develop an intuitive understanding of the skill, and you'll be able to perform at a level you never thought possible. To understand why this approach is so effective, let's turn to a fundamental principle in physics: Newton's first law of motion. This law states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion at the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. This law applies to our learning habits as well. When we first start learning a new skill, it can feel like we're trying to move a stationary object. It takes effort and energy just to get started, but once we get into the habit of practicing regularly, we create momentum. This momentum makes it easier to stick to our practice schedule. We no longer have to force ourselves to do it. It becomes a natural part of our routine, and as we continue to practice, our momentum builds, making it easier and easier to make progress. This phenomenon is closely tied to the psychology of habit formation. Experts believe that it takes approximately 21 days to form a new habit. This is known as the 21-day rule. During this period, our brains are rewiring themselves to accommodate the new behavior. We're creating new neural pathways that make it easier for us to perform the habit automatically. Think about the process of learning to drive a car. Initially, every action requires conscious thought. You have to think about where to put your feet, how to steer the wheel, and when to apply the brakes. But as you practice, these actions become automatic. You no longer have to think about them, you just do them. The same principle applies to any habit, whether it's brushing our teeth, exercising regularly, or practicing a new skill. Once the habit is formed, it becomes ingrained in our subconscious mind. This is why it's so hard to break bad habits and why it's so important to establish good ones.